Hi, I'm Helga from Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking, and today I'm going to make red velvet cake with cooked icing. I don't think you see too many recipes anymore for cooked icing, and this one is handed down from Mike's mom. I'm making red velvet this time of year. It's great to make for a Valentine's cake because it's red. It does have cocoa in it, although not a lot, and it's also the Disgruntled Mechanic's favorite cake, so he always gets that for his birthday, although his mom usually makes it for him. But this is her recipe for the cooked icing and the cake. Interesting history about the red velvet is that nobody's really sure when it got started, but it actually came to fame by being served during the 1920s in the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. And some of the original recipes to get that red coloring didn't come from food dye or red food coloring like we're going to use. It actually came from beets. And there are actually a couple recipes still left out there that actually use the beets, which one of these days I have to try just to see how it is, although everyone that ever had it said it was very good and it kept it moist. So that's a little history about the red velvet cake. Another point to this recipe calls for buttermilk. Not everybody has buttermilk. And actually around here, unless I go to a really big store, it's hard to even find it anymore in the smaller stores. And I don't have the luxury of having fresh buttermilk like I used to when I was growing up on the farm, and we actually used to make our own butter and stuff. And my father loves buttermilk, so we used to always have it on hand when I was growing up. So there's a hack for making your own buttermilk for a recipe if you don't have buttermilk on hand. So I'm going to show you that hack real quick, and it's super simple. All you do is take a tablespoon of either vinegar or lemon juice, and actually half of a lemon usually is about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I use the lemon, and all you do is add that to a 1 cup measure, and then you fill the rest of the cup up with whole milk, and it has to be whole milk. Don't try using skim or 2% or the 1% chalk water stuff. It's not going to work. So fill it up to make 1 cup like this. You let it sit for 5 minutes. And then it's ready to use after it has sat for the 5 minutes, and it works the enzymes. That is just a simple hack to make buttermilk. So we'll get that going, and we're going to start on the recipe. So the first part of this is we're going to cream our butter and our sugar and our eggs. So we'll just add these in. And I will, as usual, post the recipe down in the description below. So all the amounts will be there. It was 1 stick of butter, 1½ cup of sugar, and 2 eggs to get this rolling. So there it is. You can see it's all beaten together, the first 3 ingredients. Now, the next part is we're going to actually make a paste of the cocoa and the food coloring. So here I have the cocoa, and that's 2 tablespoons of cocoa, and the food coloring. If you have a big one of these, of the food coloring containers, it'll be about half of this. If you have the small ones that come in the packs in the store, and then like the dropper things, it takes 2 of those. So I'm just going to add the food coloring here. A bit more. Okay, that's about half. There we go. Okay, blended the red food coloring with the cocoa powder, and it makes a paste like this. I'm sure you can see this, but makes a paste like this. And we're just going to add that into our mixture next. Out. You want to get it all out because you want the color and you want the cocoa flavor. Okay, so I added that to the mixture, and now of course we have a red batter. So now the next part. This whole cake is a series of parts put together. The next part is we're going to take the salt, vanilla, and the buttermilk and add that to this mixture alternately with our flour. So let me get here the vanilla. Here's the vanilla. That was 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of salt. Oops, the sheet took a dive. And then we are going to add the buttermilk, and this will be ready now. Now I don't know if you can see this, but you can actually see how this now is the consistency of buttermilk. How it actually changed that with the enzymes and stuff. Like I said, you have to use whole milk if you do this hack with the buttermilk and the lemon juice or vinegar. So I'm going to add a little bit of this and start the mixer. And I'm just going to keep adding in parts until this is incorporated in. Now I have all my buttermilk and flour incorporated into the batter, and I'm going to let this mix on medium speed for 3 minutes. Okay, so you can see the mixture there. Our next part, and this is the last part, is we're going to take the vinegar and mix it with the soda. So there's 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. And you can see the neat little science experiment. Mix it up good. There we go. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. There we go. That's all incorporated. Now, this does not actually get mixed in. It actually gets folded in. Take this off. Gently fold it in. So that's what I'm gonna do here. Make sure this is really mixed in good. Alright. And I'm just gonna go and fold this in. You don't want to beat it. You just want to fold it into the batter carefully. That'll help you keep the batter light and fluffy and not overdone. If you would mix it now, you would actually make the batter go flat because the acid with the buttermilk and with the vinegar and then with the reaction with the soda helps make this be light and fluffy. So you can see here that it's a little different than a flat batter, that it's more almost whippy, I guess is the best way to put it. So anyway, that's what it looks like. This is folded in, and I'm going to put it in the pan. I have a 9x11 grease dish, and we'll put it in and get her baked up. And see, that's not nearly as dense as some cakes are. It's lighter, which is what we want. That's what this is all about. So she's ready to go in the oven. 30 minutes at 350 degrees. And here's the cake out of the oven. And as you can see, she's nice and red. So we'll work on the other component to this, which is the cooked icing, and we'll get this put together. So now we're going to work on the cooked icing part. You can use any kind of icing you want on a red velvet, obviously. A lot of people use cream cheese icing or a white icing, but Mike's mom always made it with the cooked icing recipe that's been in the family for years, and it's really good and it's unique. So I'm going to do that here for you. It's actually done in a couple parts, and I was trying to decide whether to do it in a separate vid or to do it with the cake, and well, it would just be weird if you didn't put it on the cake. So I'm doing the icing with the cake, and I'll have this recipe down in the description below as well. The first part is we're going to take and mix together our flour and milk and shake it up really good to get all the lumps out. I just poured them into a jar here and shook the crap out of it, get the lumps out, and I'm going to add it to my pan here, and then we're going to bring this mixture to a simmer and let it thicken. You want to be stirring this most of the time as it thickens up so it doesn't scald or get too hot, and basically almost making it, it's not using butter to make a roux, but it's a similar concept. We want this to thicken up, and when it thickens up, then we're going to let it cool down before we add the rest of our ingredients here. So we're just going to keep stirring it here until it starts thickening up. Okay, now we've been working this, and just remember, to a simmer. You don't want to boil it, or it comes to a boil, you'll curdle it and ruin it. So doing that, here's what it looks like. So you can kind of see the consistency and what it looks like. There we go. And that is what you want for the frosting. Now we're going to let this cool before we add the rest of our ingredients. So while the flour and milk mixture is cooling, and that was 5 tablespoons of flour and 1 cup of milk put together and shaken together real good, we'll get the rest of this ready for the cooled mixture to add into this. So the first thing we're going to do is put in a half cup of butter, regular butter here, and a half a cup of butter flavored Crisco. And you want the butter flavored. It'll make a difference if you don't use the butter flavored. And we're going to cream these together well. We have that mixed. We're going to add 1 cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we'll beat this all together. So all of that is mixed together, and there you can see what it looks like in our mixing bowl. So now the next part will be adding the flour mixture here as soon as it's cool. Okay, the flour mixture is now cool enough that we can add it. So that's what I'm doing here. Turn it into the mixing bowl. There we go. And now I'm going to mix this in, and that should pretty well finish our icing. And well, I think she's pretty well done. Take it off here so you can see this. And here it is. So now we're going to ice the cake. It's actually very creamy. And we'll just give this a nice frost here. Like I said, I really don't know a whole lot of people that actually make the cooked icing anymore. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more work, but it's a very good icing. But I don't know, like a lot of things, I think it's a getting to be a lost art, not passed around, not passed down as much. And when you have a lot of younger people that only know how to make things if it involves a microwave, that probably doesn't make it easy either. So, if you don't have somebody to pass down the recipes to you, you know, you're at a real disadvantage. I feel very fortunate that between Mike's family and my family, we have that. It makes a huge difference. A lot of resources there. And actually, my grandmother has a bunch of, had a bunch of recipes in handwritten down in German. They have to finish translating out, and once my dad and I do that, I'm going to work on making some of those for you. So I finished icing it, and I just made a little bit of a Valentine's Day cake there for you. And of course, proof is always in the tasting, so now I gotta cut it and try it. And here out of the corner I did take out, you can see the pretty red color of it. But the proof is always in the tasting. So we'll see how I did. Nice and pretty and red with the white priced icing. Oh wow, that came out really good. Look how creamy that is. That icing is just so creamy. And it's so pretty with the red cake. And the one thing that saves this for me is it actually has cocoa powder in it. Because like I said, this is Mike's favorite cake, not mine. I like it, don't get me wrong. But it's his favorite. But the cocoa helps make it. So, happy Valentine's Day. Have some red velvet cake and enjoy it with your special someone. Until next time. Bye.